somebody one day said, hey, crank it to 11, and it cut cycle times in half.
You are in an environment where most people, I presume, are older than you. So, Sully, I do not actually get to sit down with millennial CEOs very often at all. So what has your transition to leading DayGlo been like?
So started with RPM, our parent company, about 10 years ago in an M&A role. And then the DayGlo role opened up. I'm from Cleveland originally. I was living in Sarasota, Florida at the time. And the woman who was leading DayGlo was retiring. My boss said, hey, are you interested in getting home? I said, sure. And so the timing just worked out, and circumstances saw me come back home and sit in the chair at DayGlo. So I've been here for going on 2 years now. It's been fun.
Okay, what is DayGlo?
A lot of people use DayGlo as shorthand for bright fluorescent neon colors, because fundamentally that's what we do. So in the 1930s, the company was founded by a couple brothers, the Switzer brothers, and they were playing around with some different chemicals and came up with fluorescent pigments, UV reactive fluorescence. And so over the years, they honed the technology and started to develop inks and coatings and plastic products. And so today, what we're most well known for is fluorescent pigments that go into a whole manner of different applications. Like I said, paints, coatings, inks, toys, anything bright, fluorescent, neon, there's a good chance that it's us.
It's very cool. And how large is the company at this point?
So DayGlo, in terms of revenue, we're about 100 million. And we operate 150 employees here in Cleveland, and then we have a subsidiary in Belgium outside of Brussels as well. So that's our international footprint.
What were the biggest surprises or transitions coming into the operator role versus the buying and selling role?
Yeah. So when I came to the DayGlo role, I thought, hey, in terms of size and scale, it's a bit smaller. This is going to be a cakewalk. Boy, was I wrong. Jumping into the operations side in and of itself was totally eye-opening. And I will tell you very candidly, we had some issues when I came in. I found a situation where a big piece of our manufacturing facility was basically stuck. And we had a growing backlog, some customers that were understandably not so happy because they were waiting on product that in some cases had been ordered months ago.
So you got surprised. You've gotten through it.
We have.
What were the key things as a new leader that you either learned or were aha moments that you're like, oh, this is how we're gonna do it?
Yeah. So they're cliches. I think the big takeaways are cliches, but there's the KISS principle, keep it simple, stupid. We, in some ways, tried to overcomplicate and over-engineer solutions. And somewhat comedically, now that we're out of it, one of the biggest improvements we saw was just turning our mills up. We just cranked the speed.
But there has to be a reason that it wasn't done.
Well, it was the QC spec and the way that the product was made in California, which came over here, and it was different equipment, and we were basing it on old equipment and old processes, and we had new equipment and new processes. And so somebody one day said, hey, crank it to 11, and we did, and it cut cycle times in half. So that's just one example of a lot of very simple tactical kind of blocking and tackling things that ultimately ended up being the solution. But where we started from, it was such a serious situation that, we were trying to take all the Lean Six Sigma principles and over-engineer solutions when in reality, sometimes we just needed to turn the blades up. So that's one. I would say the other is culture. And again, very cliche, but when you're in a situation where you're taking fire from all angles and you're in the trenches and you feel like you can't get out of it, it's easy for people to get down, to start playing the finger pointing game and saying, I'm doing my job, this department or this individual's not doing theirs. So resetting the culture, getting everybody focused on the goal, the big picture goal and what you're driving towards, and then reminding everyone that we're all in it together.
Getting that change is really hard.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that you've put in place that you would attribute that's what made the difference?
So I've been here 2 years, as I said, and I've spent the entirety of that 2 years trying to overcome that hurdle. And I think in some ways it's going to be a continuous process.
No doubt.
But I would say some of the things that worked were transparency, radical transparency. I mean, we started doing quarterly town halls where we put all the news, all the information, good, bad, or otherwise, in front of our associates and said, here's what's going on from a financial standpoint. Here's what's going on from an operations and capacity utilization standpoint, to put everything on the table and let everyone see it. So it didn't feel like there was this kind of us versus them mentality. More presence throughout. So I try and be as present as I can when I'm not traveling, walking around the whole facility and seeing everybody. It was making real personal human connections, not this person that sits in the office or this person that sits in the plant. And then it was being radically transparent about the state of the business, good, bad, or otherwise.
So you are in an environment where most people, I presume, are older than you.
Correct.
What's that like as their leader?
Well, what I've found is, imposter syndrome is a real thing. I think everybody deals with it. I deal with it in spades. What I have been able to lean on is the wide variety of experiences and perspectives I have in our industry generally that I can bring to the conversation that a lot of folks at DayGlo might not be able to do because they've been focused on DayGlo or fluorescent pigments. And so, having those experiences, having some successes and failures, being transparent and bringing a perspective that they might not have about not only our industry, but our parent company, RPM, because I've kind of bounced around different divisions. I think it gives some of the folks some confidence in not only my ability to lead, but my perspective. It's not like I'm a junior jockey trying to figure it out on the fly. In some cases, I certainly am. And I think one of the other things that's helped me build credibility with the team is I'll be transparent about that. If there's stuff I don't know, I'll ask the dumb questions. If you ask it, you will look dumb. But if you don't ask it, you'll stay dumb. So I asked a dumb question.
What's given you the most angst
Yeah.
for the first 2 years?
I would say quite simply, it's this. It's the finger pointing and the agita between departments or individuals at DayGlo. And in hindsight, it's understandable and it's logical because, we're trying to change some fundamentals of this business and we're trying to get back to real, strong, sustained growth. And it's hard. It's not easy. We're fixing operational challenges and everybody is working above and beyond. We've made a lot of progress. We've made some changes. And unfortunately, a lot of good people are no longer with the company, but it's because we needed to make a change and we needed to move in a new direction. And it's nothing personal, but I need an organization that's committed to growth and success. So,
I want to underscore that point, right? It's kind of the most miserable part of leadership is disrupting somebody's life and letting them go, especially if they're good at something.
Yeah, it shakes the tree a little bit and it is powerful and I hate it. It, as you know,
every time.
It sucks, but there's circumstances where it needs to happen. And I've found in some cases too that it allows an organization to breathe again. You can't really appreciate until you make that change. And only then do you realize how bad it was, right? So it's not easy. All that stuff is, that's my least favorite part of the business, as you well know. But unfortunately, it's one of those things that you constantly have to keep tabs on and you constantly have to chew on and debate, if you're going to lead through challenging times.
So Industry 4.0, how's it play in your mind and your strategy long-term?
The lowest hanging fruit is automation, manufacturing automation. We're not looking to replace people with machines, but we're looking to make people's jobs easier. So for example, our logistics partner, our product, dry pigment, comes out in 55-pound bags. So you can imagine when somebody is stacking a pallet, it's a lot of manual labor. So we're looking at automating some of that just to make people's lives and jobs easier. So that's I think table stakes. That's the low hanging fruit here. And that's where our focus is in the short term. Long term, I think there's more you can do in terms of manufacturing processes generally. And I think it's here to stay. And I think unless companies get in front of it, then they're leaving growth opportunities. They're leaving those stones unturned.
DayGlo, 5-10 years from now.
Yeah. So
paint the picture for us.
Pun intended.
Yes. What does it look like?
I would like to see us be a leader in the region in terms of sustainable manufacturing. I want to be a good employer I want to be a good steward of RPM's capital. I want to be a good citizen to Cleveland, Ohio, and all the other jurisdictions we operate in. And I want to continue to grow. I want to see growth for our company and our industry.